In this video, we're going over two new collections that I just picked up, totaling well over $30,000 that I paid for these comic books. One of the collections is a really specially curated blend of golden age and obscure, really cool books, and we're actually going to get to talk to the seller, Matthew Manos, to go over some of the highlights of the collections. If you aren't following Matthew Manos on all of his channels, I'll put links down in the description to all the different avenues where you could follow him, and you'll be glad you did. You'll see what I mean here in a sec when you see some of the stuff that he has available for sale. Also, if you're not following me over on Whatnot, there's a link down in the description for $15 towards your first purchase. We're gonna have a massive Whatnot show coming up relatively soon, probably within the next month or so. That's going to be a lot of fun and a really cool show that you're not going to want to miss, with a ton of giveaways. So link down in the description for that. We also do a monthly giveaway here on the YouTube channel. If you subscribe, comment, and like, you're entered to win a free slab each and every month. And if you head over to brycecomics.com and sign up for the newsletter, you're entered to win a free slab each and every month. And you also get first access to collections like this. A lot of these books are going to go out first through the newsletter, so they'll have been on my website for a few days. So if you wait for the YouTube videos, you might miss a few of these awesome opportunities. So with that said, let's hop on FaceTime and chat with Matthew Manos. All right, we're here with Matthew Manos. Matthew, thanks for coming on, bud.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's good to see you, Bri.
Yeah, you as well, brother. We've got an awesome stack of books here to go over, and it's just going to be a real treat to have you kind of narrate how you curated these, why you picked the ones you did, some super interesting stuff, and I can't wait to hear your commentary on it.
Sounds good.
All right, so walk us through this. What do we got here?
Yeah, so this is a really cool one. This is Strange Adventures #1 from 1950, and this is especially cool because it's from the Promise collection, which is a really, really interesting pedigree, and you'll see a few books in this batch that are from that pedigree. Essentially, a guy went off to war. He asked his friend or his brother to take over his books and to keep getting the new books that were coming out while he was away, but he passed away. And so these books eventually came to market, but they really were a great symbol of friendship, which is what I love about this pedigree. But this book in general, so this is an adaptation of a movie called Destination Moon, and that is a really old sci-fi film. And it was the first sci-fi film, I believe, to deal with the actual functionality of going to space and going to the moon. So wow. It was a really groundbreaking film, and this is it as a comic with like a partial photo cover. Super cool. Wow,
that is awesome. Yeah, the Promise collection pedigree, it's got to be like one of the most special pedigrees that I've ever seen come up. I mean, a lot of times you have, these amazing collections, amazing pedigrees, but this one, there's that story behind it. It's just so neat to see that.
Oh, absolutely. And this is just another from that pedigree. That's an old, early Police comic. So that's where you see Plastic Man. Such a fun cover, right? Like his face is just being smashed into his stomach.
Yeah, no, I totally recognized Plastic Man right away when I first saw this one. So
yeah, and these are fun to collect. Like if you get into Plastic Man, there are good covers from this era. But yeah, an 8.5, 1947, really like incredible book from the Promise collection.
Yeah. All right, and here it is.
The doozy.
The doozy, the crown jewel.
And late 16. Oh my God. And this is Promise collection, and it's a 9.2. And you've got the damsel in distress. You've got a gun on the cover. So it's got a lot of elements that collectors want. But I think why this is one of the more sought after books is it's all Matt Baker cover and art.
Yeah.
And Matt Baker is really sought after cover artist, really influential artist in general. So you can't go wrong with this. Lingerie panel, bullet and head panel. Come on.
I know. It's this one is just a truly highly collectible. That's my new phrase that I'm going with is highly collectible. This has so many collectible things, and this was going to be a great opportunity for someone, I think, to trade into. I'm gonna offer it for trade because it's so expensive and so pricey. But imagine consolidating like a box or two of common keys, like $200-$300 stuff. Imagine trading that and consolidating it into this, a one of one. I mean, it's one of one as far as it being the Promise collection. A notable artist. I mean, just something that, you would rarely have an opportunity to buy, and to be able to trade into it for common stuff, I think is going to be an awesome opportunity for someone.
Yeah, for sure. And the main signal of the Promise collection is a little pencil mark on the cover. And on that book, it's right on her, leg. So that's also even in a great position just for the provenance.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Whoa, we have some good books here, Bryce. This is Famous Funnies number 1, a.k.a. the first comic book. So before this, there were a handful of other things that looked a lot like comic books, but they were not sold on newsstands. So this is the first time that a comic book was actually sold on the newsstand instead of coming as an insert in a newspaper or something else. It's got a wraparound cover. It comes from the collection of John Burke, like you just saw, who is a pretty famous comic book historian. It is restored, but man, who cares on a Platinum Age book? You do not see these looking like this at all.
Platinum Age book, 1934. Restoration includes pieces added, cover cleaned, interior lightened, reinforced. So there's absolutely no possible way that you can undo the restoration on this. Yep. But like you said, it's just one of those where, you can make an exception for because of what it is.
Exactly.
And for the price, I mean, it's also a very expensive book, but I think, it'll just be another awesome opportunity for someone to trade into that. And then you have the first newsstand comic book. And what's... Mm-hmm. That's the greatest conversation piece possible for comics, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, and also you can just be thankful that it's restored, because it would literally be like a $12,000 book.
I think it would be way more than that if it was...
Yeah, probably way more.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a good entry into this book if you want it, for sure.
Yeah.
Howdy Doody number 1. All right, this is from 1950, Dell Publishing. It's the first issue of Howdy Doody, but what makes it special in comic book history is it's the first TV comic. So this is the first time ever that a TV show was adapted to comics. You've got a photo cover with the dude on there, and then a creepy clown on the back. So
wow.
you can scare your kids if you want.
Look at that. That is certainly creepy. Yeah, another awesome conversation piece for sure.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and speaking of conversation pieces, so this one is It Ain't Me, Babe, number 1. It's published by Last Gasp in 1970. And Last Gasp is one of those major underground comics publishers. So they're hanging out with the Robert Crumbs of the world at this time and all of that. But what's amazing about this book, and it's truly a shame that CGC doesn't note this. This is the first comic book ever entirely produced by women.
Oh, wow.
And it's a 9.6, which is the highest grade that this book is available in.
Oh, wow. Wow. I didn't realize it was highest graded.
Yeah. So this is one that, I think is a really, really good, just sort of representation of comics as, kind of trying to stir things up and really question the norms of society, especially in the early 70s and 60s.
Gasp, certainly no stranger to shaking things up.
Nope. Oh, it's fun to stay alive. So this is published by the National Automobile Dealers Association in 1948 to try to convince people to wear seatbelts.
Yeah. I figured that's what it was about. It says published by the National Automobile Dealers Association, Bugs Bunny appearance. I mean, they pulled out all the stops. They're like, how are we going to get people to read it? We got to put Bugs Bunny in there. We got to put Elmer in there.
Yep. And what's funny is if you notice on the cover, there's no price. Uh-huh. And that's because this is a promotional comic. So anybody that's listening that's maybe new, that's a whole world to collect in. They're basically comics that are created by organizations or government or corporations to try and influence the population in some way. So that's what, I mean, imagine picking this up and people just aren't really wearing seatbelts yet, It's crazy.
Yeah, they kind of protested too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, for sure. Classic Thanksgiving cover. I mean, you got to have this on your table when you're carving the turkey. Comic Cavalcade, 1947, early 1947, late 1946. Yeah, just classic holiday cover, which is highly collectible.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned, different types of things to collect. I think, a set of comics that you pull out at different times of the year. Like I have a Christmas comic. I mean, it's not for everyone, but it certainly is fun just to have around the holidays. 1947, E.E. Hibbard cover and art, Thanksgiving cover with that awesome Golden Age Wonder Woman. It's just amazing.
For sure. So this one is really special because this is a Kevin Eastman drawing on a blank cover. So this is all original art. And he drew this portrait of Mr. Freeze, which you don't really see him do much, and it looks great. And it also was signed by Bruce Timm, of fame from the animated show as well. So this is a really great collectible for anybody that's nostalgic for Batman. Pairs really well with that one, to be honest, of really just a classic Mr. Freeze cover from the modern era.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was definitely surprised at how well Kevin Eastman nailed the character of Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
It's just so cool to have that. I mean, that could have been a cover. That could have been the actual cover,
Yeah.
Sometimes with those sketches, you get stuff that's like, you can tell they kind of rushed it, but that one was just amazing.
For sure. So this is Green Llama #1, and I don't know how many people watching this have read Green Llama. I've read the whole run, and man, is it bizarre. This is like some World War II book. It's essentially a Buddhist superhero. He meditates, and then he becomes the Green Llama, and he kills Nazis and all kinds of great things.
Oh my God, that is so awesome. I had no idea that's what... Green Llama.
Yeah, it's a really bizarre superhero, and he has some really cool covers. So this is definitely worth collecting. The restoration is really minor on this. It's just a little bit of glue. So, somebody could potentially take their chance at it, but it's also one of those that's just scarce, and it looks nice how it is, too.
Yeah, removing glue from spine of cover, especially if it's a small amount, is usually a fairly easy type of restoration to remove.
Yeah. All right. This is another set of sorts. So we've got two of these. One is all of the turtles, and one is all of the villains, and both are a 9.9. So this thing is just so fun to display, especially if you're a big Turtles fan. And I think he nailed the drawings. I like that they're all different colors, too. Like, to me, that was the really, really cool aspect of this. He always does such great work.
Yep, both 9.9, signed and sketched by Kevin Eastman, gold label, really, really cool. And it's on TMNT 75.
Yeah, there you go.
2017.
Is This Tomorrow? So what's funny is this is the second time that I've sold this book to you, Brian.
Yeah.
So this book, I believe this is in a higher grade. It might be a slightly different one than what I've brought to you before. But this book is an anti-communism book, essentially. It was put out by the Catechetical Guild. I think I'm saying that right. And in 1947. And yet another thing that CGC does not note that makes this so important is this is one of the earliest published works of Charles Schulz, the creator of Peanuts.
Yeah.
He actually did, I believe, interior pencils for this. There are 3 versions of this. So this one you can see in the top right, there's like a blank circle. So that's what you would call the blank circle variant. So there is one that says 10 cents, there's one with no price, and then there's one where you'd think there'd be a price, but it's just a circle.
Uh-huh.
And given that this is an anti-communism book, I actually love trying to find the ones that don't have prices on them, because it's really ironic.
Yeah. The 10 Commandments of Citizenship on the back.
Nice. All right, and then we got Fight Comics 44, which if you first of all just look at this, I mean, there's so much going on. You've got the woman on this wheel thing. You've got these like monks with knives and guns shooting at this guy that's jumping through a window.
Yeah.
So it almost has like Schomburg vibes in terms of just so much stuff going on, but it's a different artist. And I think, what makes this like a powerhouse for collectors is not only is it a bondage cover, it's a torture cover. There's also decapitation panels, and there's also lingerie panels in the story.
Yeah.
So this has like all of the tropes, from the 40s that collectors are after.
And a really high grade for a book from 46. I would imagine it's probably in the top 15% of copies graded.
It's got to be. I've seen maybe 1.75 floating around on eBay, but you don't see these too much.
Yeah.
All right, and the last one to feature, Cheerios Premium number Y1. So this one came in Cheerios boxes in 1947, and it's a 9.8.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely insane. You rarely see this thing in that grade. I don't believe there's any 9.9s or 10s for this. But I think, what makes this more unique, even aside from the format, is the content of the cover. It features this atomic bomb with Donald Duck. And Disney, after this came out, they ended up banning this story from being reprinted because they thought it was inappropriate as well. So it's kind of a nice little disruptive, literally tiny comic as well for the collection. And I know people, they go back and forth on this. I actually love seeing this tiny book in the big slab case.
Yeah.
It feels really protected in there because it's got that extra sort of lip. So it's an interesting collectible for sure.
Yeah, sometimes they don't look that great. Sometimes the whatever seal they use to seal it, and it's some kind of like heat seal here that they can choose different sizes. Sometimes it's problematic, especially if it's like an older case. But this one is crystal clear. I mean, look at that. Like, that's really rare these days with CGC cases. So yeah, this one in particular, because of the quality of the case, it doesn't detract from it too much. Now, if you get an older case from like 10 or 20 years ago, man, it doesn't look protected. So, yeah, that's
so true.
We forgot this guy. Don't forget this guy.
Vampirella. Yeah, Vampirella number 1. All right, so everybody knows who Vampirella is. You know that this is a nice grade, but what makes this book really special, okay, because I could have bought either the 7.5 or an 8.0, and I went for the 7.5 because of that date stamp. So that date stamp, Bri, do you know what day that is? That has something to do with the lunar landing, right? Yes, it's the day after we landed on the moon.
There we go, man. Day after imagine the shop owner getting this book in. So 1969, it came out in 1969. Imagine the conversations happening in the LCS or the newsstand that day. Man, we just landed on the frickin' moon, and not only that, this sexy new comic book comes out.
And we're going to put a date stamp on the moon in the background. So it's like, it's just perfect. Unbelievable. Just little,
tidbit. I mean, I probably, maybe a small premium for that. I don't know if I would personally charge a premium for that, but...
I think it's more, to me, it's like a gift. It's like, they found this copy, you know? And that's just such a bonus.
Yeah. So I'm not going to charge a premium, but I'm certainly not going to accept an offer on it. That's that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, I'm not going to go anything less than FMV for not only a good copy, but a special copy. I mean,
for sure.
In one of my recent videos, I go over the fact that comics aren't always rare. I mean, I think there's actually quite a few exceptions in this video. But when you get a book that's highly collectible, that's not rare, and you add a rare piece to it, it's it's just you jump on that when it comes up because they don't come up that often. So
yeah, and that's why, you know, for anybody building their collection, you're looking at this, and I know one of the things we want to talk about is like, how did you curate this, you know? So for me, the way that I collect has changed a lot over the years, but a lot of what I go for is what is literally rare, you know? And so that might be something that nobody has ever even talked about. That doesn't mean it's valuable,
right,
you know?
Right.
But, oh, hey, this is something totally different. This was in a Cheerios box, you know? So I kind of like allow myself to go down these rabbit holes, and I do that for a while, and then I sell everything, and I buy one or two things that remind me of that pile. So, you know, you were mentioning earlier, wouldn't it be cool to trade for this Grail book with some of your books? What's funny is if you do that enough, which is what I've done, you start trading the Grail books too. And then you get like God books.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way I collect. I'm definitely a catch and release guy. Like I enjoy them while I have them. I'd like to get my money back, if not a little bit more, but I'm more concerned about like using my collection as a story to learn more about the world or just to have fun as well. So that's kind of what you see here.
That's really cool. Yeah, that was one of the questions I was going to ask, and a lot of people are going to want to know is, you know, why did you decide to sell it? Which I think you just answered that question. But the other question is why did you decide to sell them to me? Is something I'm curious about. I mean, you obviously you're, and I think I know the answer, but you're somewhat established in the community, which, by the way, we'll get to at the end here, how people can find you and contact you. But yeah, just curious if you could touch on why you decided to, sell them to me.
Yeah, so you know, I'm in a position where I could sell each of these individually for sure, and I do a lot of that. You know, I'm on Whatnot, I sell on eBay and stuff like that. But sometimes there's a book that comes up or a few books that come up where you just know that it is going to sell within a few days. And if I go and do all of this myself, best case, right, I set 7-day dollar start auctions on all of them on eBay. Best case, I get paid in a little over a week, right? Like 10 days probably, maybe even 2 weeks if stuff takes a while to ship. On top of that, I've got to individually pack 50 different books. I'm going to make way more money on some of them selling it my own, but I'm also going to lose on a bunch of them. And I think that you offering 60% for bulk is like really fair, to be honest. So in my mind, the 40% that I didn't make was me prioritizing some of the other projects I have going on and that need that time invested into it. And it was just worth it, basically. Yeah.
I figured that's what it was, the convenience of it. I mean, I think I had you paid before you even gave me the books, which I don't want to advertise that. I'm not gonna the people I don't know, but I know you well enough to know that I can do that. But so yeah, sometimes you factor all things in and take all things into consideration. One fell swoop, getting paid quickly can make a lot of sense to some people and not a lot of sense to others. It's definitely not for everyone. But I'm glad to be able to offer it as a service when it does make sense.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Well, and people probably, curious too, because what they don't see a lot after these videos is what do people like me do with this money that we suddenly got too? Because that's kind of a big part of it. So with this deal combined with one other auction that I had, I bought a Batman number 9, which is that classic spotlight cover in 6.0. So that is like one of my favorite covers of all time. So that's for me.
Right.
And then the rest of the money, I bought 3 copies of Crime Suspense Stories 22.
Oh, wow.
Because of all the books that I've had, that's the only one that has never gone down.
Wow.
Yeah. So now I own 4 copies of that.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for telling us a little bit about these books. There's actually more to this that it'll be in the other video. But yeah, I really appreciate you coming on and
For sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me. And everybody, give me a follow on Whatnot at Matthew Manos as well. That would be be great. I'd love to see you over there, and keep buying all of Bry's stuff.
Yeah, I'll put here on the screen, I'll put all your handles, where people can find you, where they can follow you. And you guys, I mean, you'll definitely want to follow him, especially if you're into this kind of stuff, because you can get it directly from him. Obviously, just establish a relationship with him. Maybe next time he's, has something on the radar, you might be able to, pick something up directly from him, which would be great. So thanks again, Matthew. We'll talk to you later.
Awesome. Thanks, Bri. Take care.
All right. Bye. All right. So here we are going to continue with the books from Matthew Manos' collection. And then I have another stack of books that I paid a little over $8,000 for. We'll go through those as well. House of Terror #1 from 1953. 8.0 with white pages. An awesome addition to this Golden Age book with this awesome cover. 3D comics manufactured with 3D glasses. Just a really cool Golden Age horror title. Tales Calculated to Drive You Bats #1 from Archie Publications, 1961. Just a cool cover. This reminds me of the Wednesday show, or the Addams Family. Cool cover. Man-Thing #1 in an 8.5. Liberty Comics #11 from 1946 in a 6.0. And you got this guy here, and it says, "Quit worrying, nothing's gonna happen." And she's obviously a little bit worried there, and this bird is beelining it for his beehole. So it's just an awesome Golden Age cover. Cool little stamp on the back here that says the Kroger Grocery and Baking Company. Very interesting. They probably had a comic book stand at the Kroger store back in the 40s. Captain Marvel Adventures #66, an Atomic War cover, and the first John Jarl text story by Otto Bender. Strange Suspense Stories #4, just an awesome 1952 Golden Age George Evans cover, and a cool back cover as well. Beware Terror Tells. My Little Margie #54, a Beatles cover and Beatlemania story. Beatles shown on a TV in a splash panel. Last issue based on the TV series. Wonder Woman #80 from 1956. This is the origin of the invisible plane. Zap #7, the San Francisco. I put little post-its on there to cover up the nudity for YouTube's sake. Mini comic from 1972, 8.5 white pages. Red Rider Comics #1 from 1940. If you're a collector of #1s, this is probably a more affordable Golden Age. I guess, is this on the brink of Platinum Age, 1940? Just a super, super old issue #1. Strange Fantasy #13 from 1954. Really cool to see a pink background on this PCH Pre-Code Horror bondage cover. I'm not sure, how many pink PCH books there are, but it's just really cool to see. And you got your classic weight loss ad on the back. And throw this one in there before I put a new stack. Marvel Illustrated Swimsuit issue #1 from 1991. 9.8 white pages. Brian Stelfree's cover. Just this is the first appearance of Wolverine in a Speedo, according to Matthew Manos in his notes. This is a really popular pre-code horror. Murderous Gangsters #2 from Avon, 1951. It's a painted cover, and it's got art by Wally Wood. Highly collectible, if you ask me. Forest Fire No Number. This is the first appearance of Smokey Bear in comics, 8.5 white pages. Baseball Comics #1 in a 7.0. This is a Will Eisner cover and art. And those that are fans of Will Eisner can tell right away this is a Will Eisner cover from 1949. Cocaine Comics #1, 9.0 white pages. Last Gasp. And a little pinup on the back. People's Comics No Number, Death of Fritz the Cat from 1972. Zap Comics #1, this is the third print and a 7.0. The first prints of these are astronomical high prices. Bijou Funnies #1 from 1968. Robert Crumb related. Here on the back it says Bijou Funnies #1, Clip and Save. This is Snappy Sammy's Handy Hints #1, and the hint is don't wee on your TV. Alright guys, Handy Hints #1. Superman Deadly Legacy, no number, from 1996. This is the Croatian edition, and you can see these kids here are going for a landmine. It's a UNICEF landmine awareness issue, which is really cool. Popular Comics #101, file copy from 1944. It's a war bond cover with a literal war bond there on the cover. A 9.4 from 1944. Pretty cool to see that. Binky Brown Meets the Holy Virgin Mary. Don't know what to say about this. It must be a last gasp cover. As you would expect, some really strange stuff coming out of Last Gasp. Here's Skull Comics #1, the second print from 1970 in a 9.2. Another Zap Comics #1, third print in a 7.5. Collected Cheech Wizard, no number, in 8.5 white pages. I had to block out some of that there. We've got Von Bode story cover and art. Really cool back cover as well. And R. Crumb's Best Buy Comics #1, 9.4 white pages with an infinity cover, because he's holding a comic of him holding a comic of him holding a comic. It goes on for infinity. This was really neat to see. We have Batman the Killing Joke 1 through 9 printings. I believe that's all of the printings of this. Batman Killing Joke #1, first print. So the first print has the green text. Second print also in a 9.8 with the pink text. Third print 9.8 with the orange, yellow. It's more like yellow on that one. Orange on this one for the fourth print. Dark blue on this one for the fifth print. Kind of a reddish pink on this one for the sixth print. And then the 9.6s, as they get, I think they get more rare as the printings go on. I think the 9th print is the money book. But here's the 7th print 9.6, the 8th print 9.6, and the 9th print 9.6. Alright, so this is the next collection here. I'm not going to show all of the books that came out of this collection, but I believe it was valued somewhere around $13,000. I paid somewhere between 8 and 9. And these are some of the highlights here. We've got Ultimate Spider-Man 1 in a 9.0, Omega Man 3 in a 9.0 white, Batman 635 9.0 white, first Jason Todd as the Red Hood, Young Avengers #1 in a 9.8, Batman 357, first full appearance of Killer Croc, Nova #1 in an 8.0, Submariner #1 in a 6.5, Hulk 271, first comic book appearance of Rocket Raccoon, another Nova 1 in an 8.5, G.I. Joe #1 in an 8.0, Flash 197, origin and first appearance of Zoom. And here's Flash #1 from 2011, the sketch cover in a 9.8, Brave and the Bold #54, origin and first appearance of the Teen Titans in a 5.0, the Flash #110 in a PGX. Those that follow the channel know that I don't sell PGX books on my website because of how prevalent they are to certify books that are actually restored or incomplete. So I'm going to crack this out and send it into CGC. Just like that, it comes right out. And here's the book. Alright, so just like that, the book is free. And let's count and see if there's any restoration.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
So all the pages are there. So this book has this defect right here. I believe that's from bugs. Maybe silverfish actually eating the book. So yeah, it appears to be complete and unrestored, and I think that 4.5 is actually a fair grade for it. So I don't know if I'm going to, I might list this on the website raw, or I might send it to CGC, we'll see. Flash 139, origin and first appearance of Professor Zoom, a reverse flash from 1963. Flash 129 in a 6.5, the second Golden Age Flash crossover, the first Silver Age appearance of the Justice Society of America in a flashback. Flash 123 in a 2.5 from 1961. This is the first Golden Age Flash in the Silver Age and the origin of both the first mention of Earth 2, the first Silver Age Shade, Thinker and Fiddler appearance. Awesome flash key right there. Flash 113 in a 4.5, the origin and first appearance of the Trickster. Flash 106 in a 3.0, part 1 of the Grodd trilogy, origin and first appearance of Gorilla Grodd and Pied Piper. Flash 105 in a 5.0. This is the first Silver Age Flash in his own title, numbering continued from Flash Comics, origin and first appearance of Mirror Master. And another Flash 105 in a 3.5, and a relatively good presenting 3.5, I might add. Fantastic Four number 48 in a 1.8, first appearance of the Silver Surfer and Galactus. Fantastic Four 49 in a 3.5, the first full appearance of Galactus and the second appearance of Silver Surfer, first Silver Surfer and Galactus cover. And FF 50, Fantastic Four Annual number 6 in a 7.5. Mighty Thor 13, a really cool art appreciation covered by Isanov. Thor 337, first appearance of Beta Ray Bill. Captain America 25, the John Tyler Christopher variant cover homaging Captain America 1. Catwoman 74, awesome Adam Hughes cover. Ultimate Fallout 4 in a 7.0 white, first appearance of Miles Morales. Black Panther Volume 246, an awesome Black Panther cover by Jorge Perea Lucas. Star Wars: The Rise of Kylo Ren number 1. This is the Carnero variant cover. Annihilation Conquest number 6 in a 9.8. Invincible Iron Man 9 and a 9.6, the Turcotte variant cover, first full appearance of Riri Williams. New Mutants 98 and a 9.2, first appearance of Deadpool. Silver Surfer Black number 5, I believe this is a 1 in 500, the Tormy variant cover B. And Flash number 197 and a 9.8, origin first appearance of Zoom, and it's signed by Jeff Johns, I believe, and number 233 out of 497. It's a qualified label because it was not witnessed by CGC, and so when that happens they just write name and 233/497 written on cover in marker. And then we have a Flash number 192 qualified. I believe this is signed by Francis Manipul, not witnessed, so it got the qualified label. So there you have it, folks. A little bit longer of a video, but obviously some really awesome content and stuff to look at. Don't forget we have that monthly giveaway here on the YouTube channel if you subscribe, comment, and like, and this amazing giveaway this month for the newsletter at brycecomics.com, Incredible Hulk Annual number 1 if you subscribe to the newsletter over there. And follow me over on Whatnot, link down in the description for $15 towards your first purchase if you're new to Whatnot. Some amazing shows coming in the future. Thank you as always for sticking with me to the end of the video. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye. Just cut that part out, Marcus. Wait, cut that part out. I got that mixed up. Cut that part out too.